Hi everyone, and welcome along to the latest episode of the Endless Celts Podcast. My name is Anthony. I'm one of the regular show contributors to the podcast, and I'll be in the host chair this evening. Tonight we're going to be reflecting on our triumphant day at Hampden Park as Celtic lifted the first silverware of the season in a fantastic match against Hibs. We're going to be discussing, looking ahead to St Mirren in a few days' time, and also we'll be discussing the announcement that Bernard Higgins won't be joining the Celtic Park payroll. To have all that and discuss all that and more, I'm delighted to be joined by one of our usual contributors, Francis. How are you, mate?
All good. I was a wee bit tender this morning, I've got to say, Anthony. I had a couple of sherbets, but we've soldiered through work and got to the day. We've got here.
Well, mate. And we're also to be delighted to be joined by Andrew from the Mental Ginger Show. How are you tonight, mate?
I'm great. No hangover for last night because sadly I was working the day, but and plenty high spirits. And again, thanks so much for having me on, guys. I really appreciate it. Took a couple of tries, and had to look like I'm in a call centre in Mumbai, but I got there in the end.
Just one of these things. We're delighted to have you on, and obviously it's good subjects tonight after yesterday's win. But before we get started tonight, I just wanted to say a few words on behalf of the show for one of the guys that me and Francis knew very well. For those of you who don't know, myself, Francis, and most of the rest of the boys on the show reside from a small mining village in West Lothian called Falthouse. Small village, about 4,500 people, and as you can imagine, it's a town full of characters. And there was few, if any, more of a character than a Mr. Stephen McGinty, our dear friend, who sadly passed away this weekend. We got the news on Saturday that he'd unfortunately had passed away, and obviously there's been a outpouring of tributes to him on Facebook and all the other sort of outlets. Just great stories and great memories with him over the years in the pub and elsewhere. And we just wanted to do tonight's show on his own. He was a big Celtic man. He had a lot of Hibby friends as well, though, and he would have enjoyed the result yesterday, no doubt. But the first thing he would have done would be head straight over to his pals on the other side and get a few drinks in. So, Stevie, rest in peace, my pal. And tonight, this show is dedicated to you. Okay, moving swiftly on, we'll come to yourself first, Franco. Obviously, only one place to start. Celtic's fantastic 2-1 victory against Hibs yesterday. I penned an article for the Celtic blog saying that it should have been deemed the Bertie Auld final, and really, after that, I really should have put us to have a 2-1 victory. But for Ange to get his first silverware at the first time of asking, the only really one question I've got to ask is, are you happy?
Do I look happy, Anthony? Stop asking questions.
You're looking pretty cheerful.
Had to be done.
Whereabouts were you watching it yesterday?
Round at the Grange, mate. Just round at the local. Had a bit of free hat. The girl was at the pantomime with the kids, so I had a free hat. I couldn't not go round to the pub and just watch it. So yeah, went round there and entertaining the atmosphere. The pub had a good atmosphere about it. So yeah, it was fairly enjoyable, shall we say?
Absolutely. And what about yourself, Andrew? Were you watching it? Were you at the match, or were you just watching it on the television?
Well, unlike my man there, I didn't escape the wife and the missus, so I was BBC Sports apping it and just like refreshing every single 10, 15 seconds, just going, right, what's happening here? Well, yeah, well, not the first half hour, because I was a bit like, okay, but is there anything going on? And then after the second, let's come out for the second half, and all of a sudden it just roared into life, didn't it, guys? I mean, I was just like, whoa, where was this 45 minutes ago?
It was a good second
Absolutely.
half.
It was a proverbial game of two halves, wasn't it? First half, not really much happening. There was obviously potentially, the possible penalty incident with Taylor, and maybe a couple of hairy moments at the back for us. But like you say, the first half it wasn't really much of an affair. But the second half, what a different story. And it didn't get off to the best of starts for us, Andrew, with the Hibs goal. just poor bit of defending for us, and it's just incredible how many times we go behind in domestic cup finals. So I was saying that to my sister yesterday when we were watching it, but we found a way to win. But just sort of, what's your sort of thoughts on the second half, and what the the best moments were, so to speak?
Well, I think the tagline for Hibs was "Gone in 60 seconds," wasn't it?
Good point.
It was like what they bang in, and you just instantly think, you're like, oh no, this is the cup final thing that Celtic always seem to do. And Starfelt, he's normally not one for having a bad game, but he had a shocker yesterday. Which will lead on to later. I'm surprised that we didn't get a penalty shout for us, but that's another story for another day. It just tended to balance itself out. And Nick, it should have just been called Hibs 1 Kyogo 2, because he just came to life. I mean, not ruling out Rogic, obviously. I think he got a wee bit kind of undersold because it became the Kyogo show, but just what a sensational game. And for wee Cal McGregor to get his first trophy as a captain, that's going to do him the world of good. Joe Hart, a lot of people when they first came, they were like, we're not too sure about it. I held my hands up. I was kind of the same. And yeah, he really bailed us out. It was like Joe Forster at times, wasn't it?
Couldn't agree more. That was going to be my next question to yourself, Franco. We'll touch on a few individuals, single out a few for praise, and it'll naturally end with a certain number 8, I'm sure you can imagine. But I was going to just ask on Joe Hart to begin with. His interview with the BBC afterwards it just showed you how much he really loves playing for Celtic. He just seems to have caught the mood, like a lot of our new signings. They just can't seem to really be able to almost process this amazing connection that's between the guys on the pitch and the fans in the stand. And he's definitely been one of them who's he's taken us to his heart, hasn't he?
Oh, definitely. Like, he was obviously went to Burnley. After Man City, went over to Torino, I think, and done fairly okay. Then came to Burnley, never really done anything there. Tottenham, I knew he was going there to sit on the bench and got his chances, but it just shows you, it just seemed like a guy that wanted somebody to believe in him again. We've gave him that chance, thankfully, for 3 years now. I mean, I know he's 35, but that's not too bad in a keeper. He'll get probably 3 good years out of him, and so far what he's gave us, especially yesterday, had big moments again yesterday in the game where he saved potential, probably certain goals in that. So I just loved it. And he's seen his celebrations on the park after it. That meant a lot to him. I think that for him, that was proving a lot of guys down south, all the doubters, and that just sent them going, look, I've still got it. I know I've still got it and stuff. And yeah, it probably comes back to the connection with the fans as well. That whole cliche, they just get it. Like, whatever that is, they just get that. It's brilliant to see. And like, we've ranted, like, we've bigged up Joe Hart so many times, and I'm so happy he's between the sticks. I mean, me and Stephen were on the Barcast train, God knows how we managed to stay on it that long when he was doing us absolutely nothing. I think it was one of the ones we had went that long, we had to commit to it. But Joe Hart is absolute. I love the guy, and you just, like, Man City, like, obviously it was with Pep Guardiola, but like they played for every cup, so he's got that in him. He's a born winner. It doesn't matter. Like, people obviously like to talk down the League Cup and stuff, but it's another trophy. He's up here to prove himself, to win trophies. He's not up here for the money, which is brilliant. And you just seen that at the end of the game, just in his celebrations.
I also think, do you think he knew that Spurs were going to get papped out the Conference League, and he knew I'm going to have European football after these?
It was a nice little British bonus, wasn't it?
It really was. I saw it on the news pages today, and I was like, Joe Hart has had a belter a weekend, hasn't he? All I want for Christmas is.
Absolutely.
I know. Oh, that's madness.
And feel yourself, Andrew, as well. Just again, you touched on it earlier. Callum McGregor, first time of asking. He's lifted silverware above his head as Celtic captain. That can only stand him in good stead going forward, can't it? And I'm sure, even although he's already been an integral part of the quadruple winning side, he'll be hungry for even more medals, won't he?
Oh, I definitely. Well, and it's the same with when it was Scott Brown before. I mean, Scott Brown was around for some big wins at the start of his career at Celtic before he took the captaincy. And he wanted to make his mark. He wanted to leave his legacy behind, and he done it. And Cal McGregor's cut for the same mould, because he'll have taken every bit of knowledge and every drop of wisdom that Bruni had, and he'll want to make it, especially being an academy boy, considering how it started to how it's going, which was the meme that was everywhere this morning, and it was more than deserved. He's one of the guys that I thought, hey, Ronnie Dyla done something right.
Aye.
They brought him through. He got what it. I always talk about playing the Celtic way, and he totally gets it. And another guy that is, I think I'd seen a lot of things saying, oh, he's quite underrated, is Near Beaton. And I think when we play him in his right position, as we were doing, he really comes up good. And we were talking about, how we were like Barkas, he couldn't see 2 feet in front of his face sometimes. Near Beaton would have played in goal. If he got the opportunity. Don't get me wrong, we would have been wanting Scott Bain in after that game. But aside from that, Beaton's definitely deserving a mention as well. No matter what position he's asked to play, he plays it, and he plays with his heart on his sleeve. And he keeps the club close to his heart. So, I'd like to give Beaton a wee bum up, so to speak.
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And I thought when he came on yesterday as well, he just got a camp proceedings down a little bit. Obviously, it was an enforced change, but I thought he played very well, and he's been in great form since Ange is taken to the helm. Staying in the middle of the park, though, Franco, I mean, are there any superlatives left that we've not used yet to describe Tom Rogic?
If there is, if you've got the wrong guy, you need Ross in it. He's the guy with the words. Ross would probably pluck one out there, but what can you say about the guy that's not already been said, Tony? It's like Andrew said that it's not till Andrew kind of mentioned that I forgot how good Tom Rogic actually played yesterday, because it was the Kyogo final. It was when Andrew mentioned it, I was like,
we gingers are a forgotten people, so we have to give up the people that are due.
But it was absolutely amazing. Again, just like taking the game by the scruff of the neck. I felt like he's not one that he did get the foot in a bit, but it's just like everything goes through him. He wants, like McGregor, they want to control the middle of the park, which you want your midfielders doing. It was just Tom Rogic in cup finals. It's what he does it? He turns up in cup finals. It's just his thing. But yeah, his form now is the best I think I've seen for him at Park Kevin. I would maybe need to text Ross for a word to try and describe him, because I'm struggling here, Anthony.
I tell you, honestly, I thought Rose and Giovanni were going to be the most beautiful, skillful thing that I'd seen, graceful creation I'd seen all weekend, but then I forgot Big Tam was going to be playing yesterday. So sorry, Rose, congratulations on your victory, but I'm sorry, there's only one winner in the Celtic department.
Ross has got a love that.
And again, like you say, he just had an absolutely magnificent game. And as I say, we were talking earlier, Andrew, we went a goal behind, but got right back into it. Literally, almost straight from kickoff. A fantastic ball from Cal McGregor over the top. And again, it's that off-the-ball movement. Kyogo, one touch to bring it under control. And from the moment it left his boot, it was going to be 1-1 straight away, didn't you?
Oh yeah, the second Kyogo gets on that ball, that's it. And I really felt sorry for the Hibs players that were trying to rile him up going off at half time, because that's like poking a bear. You just don't do it. You just don't. You don't try and take him on an attack. You don't try and rile him up. It's like flicking a lion's love spuds with a wet towel. It's the worst idea that you could do. And he proved it. The second, but it's a true Celtic thing, isn't it, that we have to get a wee kind of punch in the face and dazed a little bit for us to go, all right, game on. Normally it takes a little longer than 60 seconds, so I was quite glad that we just fired back in. But it's like you said, ball at the feet, you know where it's going, you just got to wait for the celebration. And he's the type of guy that every Celtic fan loves. He loves to entertain, he loves to play. When that ball goes in the back of the net, he just feels the love for the supporters. And it's a joint thing. there was a reason why Rangers done so well in COVID and why they're not doing so well now their fans are back. I've got plenty of Rangers fans who are going to hate me for that, but sorry guys, sad but true.
It's just listen, they've dished out plenty of it since March, so they can they've got to be able to take it what they give out.
Yeah, if you throw a slow ball, you got to take a swing, don't you?
That's true.
Absolutely. And Franco, I mean, we got the equaliser 1-1. As I say, it's been a position that we've found ourselves in more times than we'd probably like to happen in cup finals recently. You think of Aberdeen in the invincible season, you think of Hearts in the treble year, you know, going a goal behind, it's never great, but we get ourselves back into the game, and you know, three completely different types of goals, don't get me wrong. You think of Tom Rogic's, it's the ultimate five-a-side goal against Aberdeen. Edouard was just anticipation to slot it, get in between the two defenders and slot it over the goalkeeper. But yesterday, I mean, it was just incredible. It took me, I almost didn't celebrate when it actually went in, Kyogo's second goal to start with, because it took me almost a minute to process what he had just done. That is a goal fit to win any cup final, isn't it?
Definitely. I mean, you'll go a long way to try and beat Rogic's goal, but Rogic's one's obviously, a lot of that's the magnitude of that season, what it achieved and things, but Kyogo's is up there. It's up there. It will be talked about for a while within Celtic fans, how big a goal that was. Like, I don't even know if it was a lob, but it was almost like he just volleyed it and but he knew what he was doing and stuff, because it goes in with a bit of pace and a wee bit of dip. It was just the ball for Rogic over, and then his awareness of what's around him. He's so good. He knows what's happening. He knows, like, he's so far ahead of a lot of folk in that, and then just to have the audacity to just even try it for a kickoff. Special players do they type things. They know they'll pull it off, and like, if you go way back and stuff, like Kyogo, when he came in, he wanted to be known as Kyogo. He's trying to build like a wee legacy of being known as Kyogo. That is the main man. Like, he's want to be the best in the world, like the biggest thing in Japan and stuff. So long may it last at Celtic, but it was an absolutely fantastic goal. I was similar to you, Anthony. It was like, what has just happened here? Like, that's unbelievable, this goal. It was like, it was such, like, I think only like guys like Kim and Larsson are only, I know that's high praise already for a guy that's only been here for 6 months, but when you know a player's good, I'm not going to say he's going to achieve what Larsson done, because that'd just be mentalistic, but when you just see the technical ability of somebody, like, I can't even really remember, like, Edouard was really good, Dembele was really good, but I just didn't see them doing that type of finish. I think they're taking an extra couple of touches. He takes all the touches he needs. Like, with the first goal, it's touch, bang, it's in. It doesn't take 5 or 6 touches. It's just whatever I need, it's done. But I think when I was looking at the goal yesterday, it just reminded me something like Larsson would do.
That was exactly the next question that was coming your way.
Right, well, we can skip that question now.
As Franco says, it was one of those goals that, we hadn't really seen that type of technique since a certain Swede ruled this land. Now, don't get me wrong. Of course, the comparisons are going to be made. Of course, I think we would all agree it's far too early to mention them in the same breath, but I'm going to anyway. We've had a few.
Put me under pressure, mate. Put me under the pressure. Absolutely. Come on.
One of our friends of the show is James Forrest of the Celtic blog, and he penned a brilliant article today regarding certain players that have sort of perhaps been the heir apparent to Henrik's throne. You think of Moussa Dembele, Edouard, even, ultimate striker in terms of scoring big goals. Also for Neil Lennon was guys like Gary Hooper, and Georgie Samaras was a talisman in Europe as well. But is Kyogo possibly the closest we've got to seeing someone of Henrik's ability?
Depends how long he stays. In all honesty, Dembele with the heir apparent away in a couple of seasons. Edouard, I was never on the Edouard train, in all honesty. it was just more the fact that the price that we paid for him compared to like what he put in for us and the kind of work ethic that he had. It just felt like it was like, right, bang, see you next week, off. There wasn't really there was that kind of disconnect. Well, I mean, it was bad when I thought Magic Zarafsky had a better connection with the fans than Edward at times. Well, I mean, we forget when he's also trying to carve out his own name from another certain Japanese superstar that we had of Shinsuke Nakamura, who was absolutely fantastic. I remember watching that goal against Man United in the Champions League, and I thought I was actually going to go through my ceiling. I jumped that high. It was Martin O'Neill days. Well, I thought I jumped that high. Well, I'm pretty sure I owe my dad a new light, actually. But when you looked at Nakamura, there was a lot of resemblances, and they looked at it like a passing the torch. I think there's with the Celtic way, we've got stages you've got to hit when you come in. So for him, well, I think he's just carving his way to get out of Nakamura's shadow, which he's doing fantastically well. And then maybe we can talk about Larsson. But again, it's totally different times. I mean, well, we could get a bid for him in January for like 40 million and let the board could go by, but Postecoglou could go, no, we don't know what will happen with it. Well, but he's worked his way, and he'll definitely be, if not a cult hero, and definitely a hero among the fans. Well, if you looked at his stats, the 16 goals in 25 games, was it? That's pretty damn good going. Considering even how Larsson started in his first season, he didn't hit the heights of that, but. There's a lot of promise there, but again, it's dependent on something that we can't control, which is time.
Mm-hmm. You know, you're absolutely spot on there. It's incredible to think Henrik's first season, he actually scored 16 goals in his debut year. So you think Kyogo's already hit that, and we've not even, Santa's not been yet. But yeah, long may it continue for however long we have him. We're just going to enjoy him, and if he can give us more memories like yesterday, then all the better for it.
Anthony,
but
did you see who gave him the Japanese flag?
I did. I was just about to come here. We're full-time tonight. We're also a shout out to our friend John Paul Gregg, one of our old Fault House buddies. Who it was him who gave Kyogo the Japanese flag to wave about. So it's always good seeing one of your pals getting on the telly. The camera suits him, so it does. Well done, John Paul. Hope you had a fantastic day, mate. I know you'll be listening into this, so well done. But in terms of the guys on the pitch, Franco, every team's only really ever as good as its leader, and I think we have to pay a special tribute to the man in the dugout, Mr. Postecoglou. I think we all seen the YouTube footage that was doing the rounds sort of late Saturday night of one of the speeches he gave to the Australian national team at the World Cup, and then it's some other. It was sort of like a highlight reel of his career and how he speaks and how he leads his players. It was obviously something we hadn't seen until he came to the club, but very quickly he seemed to get it. He got what we were about, what we stand for, and the kind of values that we have, not just in terms of morality, but in terms of our footballing values as well. When you think of you go back to the late spring, early summer, all the discontent, all the endless, never-ending saga that was Eddie Howe, and then obviously we were still in the process of, you have to self-isolate, etc. when he came over, so he basically had minimal time, possibly even less than minimal time to introduce himself, get a feel of how the squad was, where he needed to strengthen, and yet in amongst all that, at the first time of asking, he's put some silverware in the trophy room. I mean, the impact he's had at Celtic just can't be underestimated, can it?
Nah, but I think John Tomlinson needs to delete a video that me, William, and Stephen done, because we all writ him off straight away. But,
I think there's not going to be a social media crash with the amount of videos that will be deleted after that.
We had him written off straight away. But I mean, a certain Mr. Gerrard was lauded as the Messiah for 1 trophy out of 9. So God knows how you praise a guy doing 1 trophy in 1. So I struggle to praise Rogic, so I've no chance praising Postecoglou when you're going with that kind of record. But yeah, it's just like that interview you spoke of. It's absolutely brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And then I think it touched on a good thing with the whole, obviously he's an immigrant over to Australia and things like that. And he kind of wears that like a badge of honour and stuff, and obviously bringing that over here, which obviously Celtic's kind of founded on and stuff as well. So it's just, he has got that connection. Then his interview yesterday after the game was absolutely brilliant. How he was just, I can't remember it all, but it was like the wee quote where he says, guys like us just pass through this, like pass through football clubs, but fans, this is a generational thing for them. They force their kids to do this. They force their kids to do this and that. So it's just, he just knows, like, he's either a really brilliant actor and kens all the buzzwords and all the buzz phrases to say, but I just think he's just a genuine guy. I think he's a smart guy, and I just think he obviously knows what he's doing. But I just absolutely love the boy. Like I said it a wee while ago in the podcast, it's weird. I've never wanted to win so much for a guy in my life, and I don't even play for Celtic. It's just, if I'm feeling that as a fan, God knows what the players are feeling like, and they all seem to buy into him. Like, I've seen a couple of things on Twitter as well. Like, I don't know if you've seen the picture where obviously him and Kyogo are hugging, and somebody tagged it as when you take your drunk pal home at 5 o'clock in New Year's Day. But it's just, he's absolutely brilliant. He's got the media's number. He's too smart for them, and it's just his interview yesterday after the game, and that it was just word for word. It was on point and stuff. He's just, I hope he stays here for as long as he's, obviously success will determine that, but I can't see anything but success for the guy given time. You can already see it this early that we're on a journey somewhere good with this guy.
I totally agree, Franco, and I really think that what we should do, if no one's done it already, is get a meme of his face on Gerard Butler's body going, "This is Posta!" If no one's came up with that yet, I'm patenting it.
No, well, I tell you what, Andrew, our joint host of the show, John, who also does all our opening graphics and stuff, he's a mean hand with anything technical and all that kind of stuff. So we'll pass that on, but we can give you some rights to it. I'm sure we won't mind you having the patent for it.
I got to give props to the guy that does all your intros, because obviously I'm a first time caller and a long time listener. I've watched you guys I've watched you guys for the get go, and the way your channel has grown and stuff over the course. It's been brilliant to watch, like, as a fan of his. So
it's got to be going like that.
And Stevens as well. Let's not forget Stephen. But no, I'm a big fan of his as well. And I just wanted to throw that wee kind of plug in that he's are doing great, and I'm really glad to be on.
Sweet.
Hashtag this is Posta.
That's definitely going to be the promo hashtag for the show when it goes out tomorrow. Absolutely.
Sorry, guys.
Said, Andrew, no, not at all. And that's what I was just going to say to you as well about the way he speaks into the press and how the connection that he seems to have already with the supporters. I was again reading one of James's blogs today, and I totally agreed when he spoke about how each previous Celtic managers perhaps compare to him. And, he seems to have, obviously, he doesn't have the connections to the club that obviously Neil Lennon does. So perhaps Neil feels it a bit more. He's got to be on the defensive all the time, sort of defending the club. Brendan, no one can argue his success, but I'm sure also by the same token, nobody could dispute that he also has an ego the size of the Grand Canyon. But he seems to have, Postecoglou, it seems to have won more supporters round, right or wrongly, in a way that Gordon Strachan couldn't, amongst certain people, certain elements of the support. The most easy comparison to make is perhaps with Martin O'Neill, but you also have to say by the same token that Martin had that instant respect anyway because of everything that he'd achieved by that point already down south. So we all knew what we were getting when we got Martin O'Neill. Ange just came over from the other side of the world, not an unknown and more across the world, but an unknown to backwaters like us who probably a lot of us don't really follow much football, past Land's End. Mm-hmm. And it just shows you how much a bigger world there is out there, and how much, if you give someone a chance, they can absolutely make you eat plenty of humble pie.
Definitely. We get used to the taste of that as Celtic fans sometimes, don't we? But Franco compared a certain Japanese international to the King of Kings, so I'm going to make an equally bold claim for Mr. Posta, and say that he's got a similar style to Jockstein.
Yeah.
Very much knows how to handle.
I'd see where you're coming from with it.
He knows how to handle the media. He's got a good demeanour. He's someone who wasn't ingrained in the Celtic way, but has become part of the Celtic way. He's got a good connection with the fans. And especially see when he talked about essentially the football without fans is nothing. He basically paraphrased Jockstein, and I was like, there's something about him, and maybe that is kind of subconsciously, a bit Freudian today, but maybe that's why we're taking him so much and wanting to do so well. It kind of reminds us of an older style of manager that you don't really see anymore. Kind of reminds you when your granda used to tell you to smarten up and no be a D word, but he was doing it because he cared for you. He's kind of like that granda that you want to give a hug, but you'd be afraid you get a slap and all. But, I mean that the greatest of respect.
Yeah. But he's just in such a short space of time, Franco. He's just completely transformed the outlook even for the fans as well. I mean, some of us. We did fear the worst going into this season. We thought we were always going to give him their support. I think that's it's a contract Celtic has with its manager. Fans have with the manager. We'll always back him. We'll always get behind him. But there was a lot of hushed whispers, wasn't there, that this could we could end up with a lot of egg on our face here. But it just shows you to just let a guy get on with his job and we can reap the benefits from it.
Yeah, totally. I mean, some of the experts, Hugh Keevan's been one of them, had him sacked by Christmas. Now, I appreciate Christmas is still a few days away, but I think after the weekend, I'm pretty confident he'll not be sacked by Christmas anyway. Quite be stayed sort of wrong to be done by then. But yeah, just like what Andrew says, he's we always you kind of like a Celtic man in charge and stuff. I don't know what it is. It's just, do you feel like you need a Celtic guy and there's somebody that understands the club? But like I said in the chat yesterday, he is a Celtic man without being a Celtic man, because his whole sort of morals and stuff are just what Celtic are built on. He's just he wants to do good. He knows what the fans want. He wants to play entertaining football for the fans. He's not willing to sacrifice that. Might give us a dodgy ticker and things like that. But he's a stubborn guy that way. And then you hear him. Fair enough, Andrew, you mentioned about the grand and that. When you hear his story about how his dad was super proud of him, but would always pick flaws in and stuff. It's the generational thing, is it? But yeah, I think we've unearthed. I think obviously the Eddie Howe saga has been a wee blessing in disguise, and I think we've unearthed a gem here. It's maybe a wee bit patronising saying that, and the fact that just be not knowing the guy, but I think we've really landed lucky with Eddie Howe shitting the nest, really.
And you said you weren't good at analogies, man.
Exactly, yeah. He's a man of many talents, Franco. So he is. I couldn't agree more, Franco. And before we move on, and I'll come to yourself lastly, Andrew. As I said earlier, I penned an article for the Celtic blog on Friday saying that I felt that perhaps more could have been done to sort of dub this the Bertie Auld League Cup final, just with obviously his connections with both clubs. We've seen his, I'm pretty sure, I'm not sure if it was exactly members of his family, but I have heard that in reports that it was family in the box yesterday who had his cardboard cutout out, obviously with that beaming smile. We all miss him, but I think he would have approved of Celtic coming out on top in a final against Hibs, wouldn't he?
Definitely would have approved of coming out on top, but maybe having the wait so long, he might have been a bit like, right, come on, guys, get the thing out. But in fairness, that's also part of the Celtic way, making you sweat for it, so you appreciate it even more. But it wouldn't have mattered how tight it would have been, what performance, like you said, as long as he got the win, he would have been happy. And the lines up there right now will be if you can get drunk in heaven, or they're constantly drunk, they'll be enjoying this for ages. They'll be finding the rest of the Ibrox ones and going, ha ha. But yeah. But the Celtic players had the right mindset. They just went out. They thought, right, we're going to do it. We've got a game to win, and that's the best way we can do it. And it's the only way you can do it sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't agree more. And as I say, thanks again to Ange Postecoglou and all the players for giving us our first reason to celebrate some silverware at the first time we ask you this season. Our first trophy that we're covering as a podcast as well. So here's hoping there's a couple more at least by the end of the season. You just never know.
I mean, I've got to come back every time we win a trophy.
Tickets booked out.
I mean, if you're good luck, aye.
Oh, we gingers, we get persecuted a lot, but sometimes we bring a bit of luck. You never know.
Here we go, fingers crossed. But so obviously, Franco, yesterday morning we got the fantastic news that Kyogo was going to be able to play in the match, and lo and behold, he came up trumps and brought the cup home for us. But it wasn't the only big news to come out yesterday, doing the rounds on social media. But it was equally brought as much joy, I must admit. As I say, I accept that we Celtic fans, the support is a broad church and speaks with more than one voice. But the news that Bernard Higgins will not become an employee of Celtic, I think it's safe to say the majority of Celtic fans will have been over the moon with that news, won't they?
Yeah, and it's like everybody's been saying on Twitter, the war is over, the rebels have won. It was such great news considering, without going way into why we didn't want him here, but finally we now have clarity that the guy's not coming in. The next worry about getting too downbeat is who has got it, because there's clearly a position there they want filled. It's who's got to fill us, but obviously Bernard Higgins being the face of what he was and the law that he brought in, they couldn't be anywhere near Parkhead. And now that obviously we know that he's not going to be, you hope that obviously should galvanise the support again and get us all on side, and so we're not arguing like we were sort of for the last couple of games where fans were obviously singing certain songs to each other. So you just hope that everybody's in full voice the next game at Parkhead and stuff, like, which is actually the Rangers game, isn't it? So hopefully
Hibs on the 29th, mate. Hibs on the 29th.
Forgot about that. So, like, I think Parkhead will be absolutely rocking that day. Knowing this news, obviously it'll be the first game at home after the cup final victory and stuff. So, and then you just hope that then resonates back onto the team, which hope it should do. And then, like, obviously we had Juranovic coming out saying how it was a wee bit weird with it, the silent protest and things like that. So it just, everything about it, when you just get it back to the team, how the fans will be singing in full voice, and it's so good news for a multitude of things, just in the terms of what we've said it in this podcast. Postecoglou's done well to separate that side of things away for the team's performance, but you want help. He did allude to that, saying he wants nothing to affect the football and stuff. And I think that was a roundabout way, him saying, please don't hear silent protest and stuff. And now the fans will be in full voice. So he's got everybody on side. Well, not Postecoglou's got everybody on side, but everybody's back on side again, and got to just forget about what's happening and stuff. And that's just, so hopefully, fingers crossed, that this has just got to resonate down to the team and get us all back bouncing again.
I definitely agree with you.
Absolutely.
Definitely agree with you, Franco.
Thing, Andrew, but when you think about it, it's as great news as it is. We obviously haven't had any official statement from Celtic yet. It came from Bernard Higgins' own spokesman. We might never actually get anything official from Celtic. They might just see it as they haven't spoken before, made anything official statement before now, so they might just decide to continue with that. What always got me about it was that the club officially put their stance, it protested against the legislation that he was tasked with enforcing when the Offensive Behaviour at Football Act was in place. And when you look at, some of the things on the list of, innocent guys, just ordinary working class boys being raided at dawn, strip searched, quizzed if they're members of, paramilitary organisations, and that's just the stuff that we've seen on YouTube, let alone God only knows what things that might have happened. It just makes you beg the question, what the hell were they thinking even considering them?
See, I think that they made a misstep and they were actually going to hire Cameron Mickelson for Scott squad.
I
think that's who they, because that made about as much sense to me when I heard it. I was like, honestly, you can't. It was not only were you slapping them in the face, like when they were down, you were setting them on fire, pissing on them, and flinging their ashes over a govan. I mean, come on, it was the biggest insult that I could have thought at the time. And don't get me wrong, I think Celtic probably won't say anything about him not coming because they'll just think, well, the trash is taken out itself, so to speak. What I mean, as there's one thing we learned for last season, why would Celtic put in any effort to do any media when somebody's already done it for them?
Yeah, it's hard to argue against that point. But and like you say, Franco, the one of the good, like you say, one of the good things is, of course, that it does draw a line in the sand to a certain extent, and I would imagine that this will now bring an end to the silent protests and obviously the tennis balls and all of those sort of disruptions that primarily the Green Brigade were doing to make their point. Hopefully now, as I say, we can move on from it and just get back to cheering the team on, hopefully to further success.
100%, definitely agreed with Franco on that one. What it's done. Let's focus on what we can do on the pitch.
I think they will. I do think they will. I honestly think the Hibs game will be brilliant, atmosphere-wise. I think it'll be absolutely amazing.
Here's hoping. But obviously, it's an ever-changing situation, obviously, with Omicron and coronavirus again. We know there may well be more further announcements before those games, but we've got everything crossed that but at least in some capacity the stadium can be full. The last thing we want is more restrictions. But coming to that next one, Francis, is obviously tomorrow night. Wednesday night we play St Mirren at Paisley. Obviously, they've had their own issues with coronavirus, and there was talk of at one point they might not have been able to field a team. At the moment, as we record this, the match does go ahead, and it goes ahead with a crowd. We'll just be hoping to more of the same from yesterday.
Yeah, the team will be flying. There might be a couple wee changes, but I think in the main the team will be what we've seen at the weekend there. But it could go like a footballer all down beat. It's been a good podcast, but it could go one of two ways. It could just be absolutely flat after yesterday's game. But St Mirren aren't great now, like you've touched on. They've got their COVID issues as well, so I think it'll be a fairly comfortable night, not in Paisley, but I'm just hoping it's not going to be one of the ones where you just off the back of a great weekend, a great result, picking up a cup, and sometimes just the next game is just one that just ends up giving you a negative result. But I don't see it considering the opposition and how they've been playing in their current issues right now. I don't see anything but a Celtic win.
Yeah, well, I agree with you, Franco.
Do you similar to Andrew, or how are you feeling about it?
Well, I'm feeling quietly confident. Well, I'm not going to let, as I normally say, I'm not going to let what I call the Primark Transformer variant get us. I mean, obviously, it's something that we've got to consider. There's every chance something could happen. At the time of this recording, as you said, it's still going ahead. It's got the feel of that typical Celtic banana skin where something could happen, especially if as long as they don't get it in their heads about the whole Rangers being 7 points ahead, because we've had that happen before where they just look at the points and all of a sudden it's just like, oh no. And we make it harder for ourselves most of the time than Rangers make it for us. But quietly confident. well, as I say in a big, loud, ginger voice.
Oh, absolutely brilliant. I'll come to you then for potential. Do you think there'll be any changes, Franco, to the team that started yesterday?
I think the only change will probably be Turnbull. Obviously, he'll be out, won't he? So probably Beaton will come in. So I'd imagine Joe Hart, possibly Ralston at right back. I would say with Starfelt and Carter Vickers at the centre, and probably putting Juranovic out in the left, and then our midfield three being Beaton, McGregor, Rogic. Then the front three probably Johnson, Abada, and Kyogo. I don't think there'll be wholesome changes.
And you got a score prediction for me, Franco?
I'll go 2-0. I'll go 2-0.
Hassle-free 2-0?
Hassle-free. We'll come back to
it. What about yourself, Andrew? If you were Angie's assistant, who would you be advising him to play tomorrow night?
First of all, I would say don't listen to a word that I say. I pretty much agree with Franco, aside from one. I would... controversially, I would get rid of Starfelt and get Welsh on to start with.
I get that.
Just because of how he was in the final, maybe just see how Welsh does, and if maybe struggling and not doing as well by half time, get a switch round and maybe smart Starfelt up a little bit. But yeah, that's the only change that I would really make, aside for the obvious Turnbull with Beaton, playing his natural game, as they say. And Celtic still have a habit of shipping goals in, so I'll go with a repeat scoreline. I'll go 2-1.
2-1. Again, it's just at this time of year the games are coming thick and fast, aren't they? I definitely would. I'd be more than happy with a 2-1 or a hassle-free 2-0. Or Franco says, like you say, I don't know how many changes there will be, if any. Maybe he'll end up resting Kyogo again. We just don't know how. We don't know how fully fit he actually was yesterday. But then again, he just seems like one of those wee guys that just desperate to play every single minute of every match.
You know what I would think of? I would think that he'd be like, remember Mourinho when he was banned in the Champions League and he was just in the wee clothing bit? You just see him wheeling just Kyogo out, just popping out. Just Kyogo's just got that kind of style about him. He just wants to play every single game, and it's just brilliant to see. I think it's another reason why the fans love him so much.
I agree.
Yep, absolutely. So in terms of the show, we're mostly done, guys. So I was just going to say this is the last time that I think we'll be on before Christmas. So I was just wanting to know what your plans are for the big day. You've got anything nice on the agenda?
As it stands, it's with family, Anthony. Family at Christmas, so that's as exciting as it'll get. As you know, the girl's heavily pregnant due at the end of January, so they'll not be. I'll be taking it easy. I'll be forced into a couple sherbets. I'll not be able to be going silly.
I'm sure it'll be a tough one for you, Franco. I'm sure it'll be really hard to have. I'm pretty much the same as you, aside for not having a heavily pregnant wife. We got twins in the get-go. So yeah, I was when I said one and done, I didn't mean a pregnancy. You know what I mean? but yeah, I'll be laying low with the wife and the kids. It's my grand's birthday's on Christmas Day as well. So I'll go over and see. Thank you. Well, I'll go over and see her as well. Well, it's always quite funny because I always like to kind of round off with a joke. So here's one for you. When I was 6 years old in church, and they're going round Christmas Day service, and they're going, right, boys and girls, it's a very special day today, like Christmas Day. Do you know whose birthday it is? And me being me, I just shout out, my gran. Entire church bursts out laughing. My mum's head hits her hands, and then my dad starts telling everybody I'm adopted. Can't make that stuff up.
Superb. Well, again, it's pretty much a treble of quiet Christmases then, because I'll be very much the same, boys, just in the house. No doubt a few shared bits. I might stick the cup final highlights back on again at night once the Strictly Special is finished, of course. You've got to tune in. Got to see who wins the Paso Doble, you know.
I'll be stuck with Mrs. Brown's boys, so I envy you.
Oh God! Tell me about it. But just before we go as well, Andrew, I'd meant to give you the sort of the platform to go and give your own show a bit of a shout out at the start, and I totally bypassed by the time we started talking about Celtic. So before we finish up, just the floor is yours. Give your show a wee promo.
Well, in fairness, I was just having such a good time, I wasn't bothering. I'm just glad. It's like when any ginger gets invited anywhere, we're just glad to be there. It's like when Celtic getting into Europe. We're just like, nah, we got here. We're cool. But, so if any do want to check it out, first of all, my condolences for what's going to come. It's That Mental Ginger Show. You can find it on YouTube. We're on at the moment Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays at 7:00. I was originally meant to be doing one a week, and then the guests just kept coming, so I was like, all right, looks like I'm doing this then. But it was quite weird because I started kind of like revamping my show at the time that you guys launched as well. So watching how well we've both been doing, and I've just been keeping tracks and been like, I really, I was loving obviously your guys' stuff and taking me tips and ideas of how to incorporate your banter into my stuff. So it doesn't mean you're getting any cuts, any profits, because I've not got any. You got a sponsor before I did.
We've not got any money at that yet.
But it's been a privilege coming on, guys. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for asking me to come on. And if you ever want to embrace the ginger madness, you are more than welcome to come on and do a plug for plug, so to speak. Yeah. That came out wrong, but you know what I mean.
Well, I tell you, I think I'll take you up on that offer. Maybe not the plug, but you know what I mean.
And make sure it was green, white, and gold. We're all good.
That's fair enough then. That's fair enough.
Yeah.
Let's go for it then. No, Andrew, it's been absolutely brilliant having you on as well. Thanks for saying your very kind words in terms of our show. We're trying our best. As I say, we're not even a year old yet, but we're just, as I say, I'm in terms of, I can always speak for myself, but I'm an absolute novice when it comes to technology. I just rely on Stephen and John to do their thing, and I just turn up and talk nonsense most of the time. But that's been pretty much it. But as I say, it's been absolutely brilliant having you on, and you're welcome back anytime, my friend, anytime. And good luck. I'm sure we'll no doubt see your show grow and grow as time goes on. But really, in terms of tonight's show, everybody, that is us. It's came to and just before we go, Franco, just to say how about Celtic winning the league the League Cup again. First trophy as a podcast.
First trophy is a podcast, first of many, I believe.
Yep.
And Ange we
can't
trust.
Wait.
And Ange we trust.
The Ange Express is rolling on.
Very much.
This is Posta.
It's running. The Ange Express is running a lot better than the ScotRail services. Let's just leave it at that. But no, thanks for tonight, guys. Absolutely brilliant. And we'll thanks to everyone else for listening. Have a fantastic Christmas. Tune into the Bhoys on Thursday night with the reaction to the St Mirren game. Hopefully talking about another victory for the Bhoys. But all the best. Stay safe and hail. Thank you.
Hail, everybody.